Hi, good morning everyone, and welcome to today's lesson. This is chemistry lesson number 3, and we're just continuing on with the elements. If you need to, you can just click on this video link for today's lesson. I guess you already have actually, but anyways. Um, so we're just going to warm up. So if this is not very clear for you, if you have printed out this periodic table of elements that's blank, I want you just to warm up, pause the video, look through the periodic table, and I want you to highlight the elements that you recognized, okay? So if there's a word like hydrogen or helium and you recognize that word, just highlight it with a pencil crayon or a highlighter. Okay, I hope you've had a chance and that you've highlighted the stuff. And now, even if you don't have a printer, if you can just pause the video and just try your best to look through each of these um, and read them for yourself, okay? I know it's very difficult actually, okay? It's pretty overwhelming. So just do a few of them and then just highlight along with me after that, okay? So hydrogen I've heard of, okay? That's like a gas. Um, they sometimes talk about hydrogen fuel cell cars, okay? This one is helium. It's found in balloons. Lithium, I think of lithium ion batteries that are in all of our like phones and stuff like that. It's really good for making small batteries that are long lasting. Carbon we've heard of, right? Carbon. Nitrogen you may have heard of as well. Oxygen for sure, because we breathe it in. And just as a side note, nitrogen is actually makes up the majority of our air that we breathe in, about 70 something percent, whereas oxygen is more like 20 something percent. Fluorine is in toothpaste. Neon, we've heard of neon lights, those really, really bright lights. Okay, so please just highlight them or color them in as we go along, just so that when we're looking at the periodic table, it really pops out at us. Okay, sodium we often think of when we think of salt. Magnesium is one of those minerals or vitamins that we all need. Aluminum cans, silicon, okay, Silicon Valley in California where they make a lot of electronics. Phosphorus, sulfur, I think of like rotten eggs. When you smell eggs and they've gone rotten, you smell that sulfur actually, okay? Chlorine gas, like bleach or putting things in the pool, chlorine. Argon is another gas that I've heard of as well, okay? And I'm going to explain these a little bit more in another periodic table of elements that's pictorial, but right now we're just highlighting, okay? Potassium, I always think of bananas because that's what the doctor tells people that have muscle cramps or it protects you for bruising and stuff, okay? Calcium, we've all heard of that. It makes our bones strong. Titanium, it's a very lightweight metal. I used to have titanium glasses and they were so strong and lightweight, uh, like I could probably balance them on one finger, but I could even bend the metal. It was so cool. Probably most of you have not heard of vanadium. Chromium, if you've heard of like Chrome, not Google Chrome, although that's where it takes its name from, but Chrome would be like like the metals on your taps and stuff like that. That's chromium. You may or may not have heard of manganese. Iron, you've definitely heard of, okay? Iron nails. Nickel, nickel as well. Here is a cool thing, okay? So the periodic table is set up in a certain way where a lot of the properties are aligned, okay? So something cool that's here is that copper, like in pennies or copper pipes, silver that we find in jewelry, and then gold, which is a little bit more rare and more expensive, okay? They're all in one line. And another thing is platinum, which is another thing, like my husband has a platinum wedding band, a very, very heavy metal right over here that's made for jewelry as well. Okay, zinc, you may have heard of zinc. It's another vitamin or mineral that we need. I always think of like rat poison when we think of arsenic. Arsenic. Bromine is another gas. Okay, iodine we use for disinfecting and stuff like that. It's a brown liquid. Maybe we've heard of krypton just from like Superman. Okay, krypton. Let me just see. Palladium, maybe not so much. Tin. So aluminum cans are made popular now for like pop cans and stuff like that, but that's only because in the 1970s, uh, so prior to the 1970s, I think it was somewhere around there, tin was the main form of making cans and stuff like that. So any like canned peaches, canned corn, pop cans, they used to be made of tin. But there was a tin shortage because as it was getting mined more and more and being used up, there was a shortage. And then they switched over to aluminum. Okay. Lead. We've definitely seen lead before. We think of sometimes lead pencils. Okay. So now our pencils are made of graphite, which is a type of carbon. Okay, graphite. But prior to this, our pencils used to be filled with lead. That's why we call them lead pencils, or give me a piece of lead for my mechanical pencil. But that's because in the past they used to be made of lead, had very similar properties, very soft metal. Okay, maybe yeah, soft metal. But the one bad thing was that it was poisonous. Okay, some of these have not even been named, so you'll notice that there's different versions of the periodic table. Yesterday, if you remember, I actually accidentally said that there's no periodic table chemical symbols that have three letters. And so I said cross out the three letters, but there in fact are. But the thing is now that these are now being called different things. These were previously unnamed. I just really like, as you noticed, I really like some of these older worksheets just because they're so clear. So you'll notice that some of these are a little bit different in some of the online resources or textbooks that are newer. Okay, radium, barium, yeah, I think this is okay. Um, two other ones though I just wanted to mention were uranium. So if ever you have played like video games that are about like nuclear fallout or something like that, okay, uranium and plutonium are nuclear fuel. They are radioactive. Okay, so you'll notice over here that there's a radioactivity sign. Okay, so a lot of these are actually radioactive. Radioactive. Okay, there's a really cool legend over here, but I won't go into that because I think I'm going to go into that more when we talk about the periodic table. Okay, sorry, that took long enough. Okay, what I would like you to do now is pause my video, click on these links right over here and here. And if you are watching this on YouTube, I have linked it in my description box. Okay, so this is a different video, but the description box, sorry, if you go to the description box right over here where it says published, if you're on your phone, you might have to like click on something right here to reveal it. But these are the linked videos that are right in the PDFs right here. Okay. Okay, so watch these two videos. It talks about some of the common elements and gives a little bit more information. And then after you watch these two videos, come back and see me. Okay, I hope you enjoyed those videos. And so I know that one or two of sorry, I know that these two videos went through a bunch of the different elements. So I just wanted to show you another picture of the elements just because, like, yeah, just because it makes it so much more interesting, right? So you'll first of all notice just from seeing this is that most of the elements on the periodic table are actually metals, okay? So they're silver, shiny metals, okay? Over here are some non-metals. So there's very few gases right over here. Sorry, right over here and here, okay? And there's only two liquids, okay? So there's mercury right over here and then bromine right over here. Those are both liquids at room temperature. Everything else is a metal sorry, a solid. And then over here, we've got hydrogen. That's kind of a loner over here. That's the only gas on this side. And then we've got some gases over here as well, oxygen, nitrogen, okay? So I thought this was just a really cool, a cool picture, just to show, the different elements in pictorial form, like actual pictorial form, okay? And then the other thing, and so there's a link right over here, sorry, in the actual PDF, I'll probably link it um, over here. So you'll see a little globe that you can click on, and then you can actually get a better view of this. This is actually a poster that you can buy. Okay, so pretty cool, right? So there's gold right there, silver and copper. Um, Hydrogen gas. So this is a picture of a what's it called? Oh gosh, I forgot what this is called. A nebula, okay? So huge, huge, huge swirling gases out in the in outer space, basically, okay? So this was probably a rendered picture, but based on maybe some Hubble telescope pictures. Okay, my videos are always too long. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, okay? Another really cool periodic table, just because I think this is so interesting, is this one right over here. And so this is, so if you click on the link right here, or you click on this right here, okay, this is an active periodic table. It's so cool just because it says, for example, hydrogen. Let me just zoom in a little bit, okay? So there's hydrogen, it's in the sun and the stars, okay? It gives you some info about it, okay? Aluminum's in airplanes, it's lightweight. Vanadium is in springs. It's a hard metal. Okay, it's so cool. Potassium found in fruits and vegetables. Okay, protein. Nitrogen is made of sorry, proteins are made of nitrogen. Okay, anyway, so cool. Fluorine is in toothpaste, okay? So there's a few down here. So, I mean, the other videos talked about the first 20 especially. So, titanium is used in aerospace because it's the strongest lightweight metal, as I mentioned. I had glasses made of this, okay? Chromium is made in anything that's really like it's chromium is used to make things shiny, and it's used for stainless steel, okay, to make it nice. Anyways, it's just an additive that helps out with some of the properties that we want, okay. Sulfur is in eggs, okay. Silver is in jewelry. Copper is in electric wires. It's cheaper than silver and gold, okay. Titanium is found in mobile phones, okay? Silicon is used in semiconductors and computer chips. It's also used in silicone rubber. So you've probably heard of silicone. So you might think of like boob implants, some of you. I don't know. That's what I always think of. But also you might think of silicone like you have so much silicone for like things like oven mitts and stuff like that because they are insulators, okay, as well. Okay, anyways, just really, really cool this one. Please feel free to take a bit of time and and oh gosh, and explore this, okay? Some of them don't really have the bottom ones right over here. If you remember, there are a whole bunch of blah, 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 elements that were made in the lab, in scientific labs. So these are man-made ones, and so you don't find them in nature, and so it's really, really hard to find uses for them because there are such small quantities of them because people are literally like combining atoms in order to make these things. Okay, okay, so over here, you'll notice that there's uranium as well, and also plutonium. So plutonium is used for nuclear weapons, okay? So there we go, nuclear weapons. Or they also use them to power spacecrafts because it's like a reactor fuel. So if you ever saw the movie Martian, perhaps, when what's his name? What was his name? Mark? Yeah, anyways, the guy that was stuck on Mars, that astronaut, he used this to fuel his like not golf cart, but his, let's say, his Mars Explorer. Okay, um, plutonium, and then nuclear power is powered by uranium. Okay, so those are some that are down here. Okay, So anyways, super, super cool. I love this periodic table of elements. Please discover it for yourself as well. Okay, and I've linked it in the PDF. Okay, uh, now what I would like to do is just finish off this lesson with a little bit, yeah, just these 2 pages from the handout, okay? So the other video, one of the videos talked a little bit about this, okay? So elements and their symbols. So how do the elements get their symbols? The symbol of an element is taken from its name. Often the first letter of an element's name is the symbol for that element. For example, the symbol for carbon is C. So here are some examples where it's just the first letter of the name. So oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen. Okay, O, C, N, and H. Okay, that rule does not always apply though. Okay, so the name of an element may begin with a letter that is already the symbol for another element. So in this case, we use the first 2 letters, such as OS for osmium. The first letter and some other letter from the name as Cl for chlorine. So there's the C, there's the L, okay? So there's osmium. So everyone repeat after me as I say these names. Osmium, chlorine, calcium, helium, aluminum, nickel. Okay, so you'll notice that nitrogen also begins with Ni. Nickel begins with Ni. So the confusing thing is that nitrogen is N, but nickel is Ni. Okay, and we're going to be memorizing about 24 of these elements tomorrow as our lesson. And I'm also going to set you up to play some bingo at home if you can. Okay? Okay, now how do these elements get their names? The symbols for most elements are taken from the names in other languages, mostly Latin and Greek. For example, the Latin name for iron is ferrum. The symbol for iron is Fe. So some of them just seem totally random, like lead, Pb. So the foreign name is plumbum, okay? Everyone say plumbum. Okay, gold is Au, orium, that's from Latin. Barium is Ba, which is berries for Greek. Lithium, everyone say lithium. Lithos, maybe in Greek. Okay, and then over here, several elements are named after places or after famous scientists. For example, Am for americium, I think, and Es for Einsteinium. Okay, who do you think that's named after? Einsteinium. Yeah, of course it's named after Albert Einstein, right? Okay, so these ones to be, actually, we want to acknowledge the people, okay? So Californium, so repeat after me. Europium, Europium, curium, okay? Marie Curie, a French scientist, okay, who's very, very famous. And fermium, fermium, okay? Enrico Fermi, an Italian scientist, okay? Okay, let's keep going. This video is getting so long. Okay, so I would like you to complete this, okay? The fill in the blanks right over here. If you need to, go back to yesterday's lesson. Go back to yesterday's lesson. Over here, okay, lesson 13. Read through this again if you need to. It's good to review. If you review everything that you learned a little bit the next day, it really helps for things to get into your brain and actually stay there, okay? That's how you beat the forgetting curve. Every day we forget things, especially if we just learned them, but by reviewing them and looking things over, reading things over again one more time, it helps to put things really into your memory so that they stay there and get stored there for a longer time. Okay, so please finish this off. This is going to be worth 5 marks right over here. Okay, and then over here, this matching stuff will also be worth 5 marks. Okay, and then This one we covered a little bit, okay, yesterday. This can be just for bonus, okay? So please try this out, but it's kind of like a bonus mark. So you can discuss with your parents or guardians, but we did discuss this briefly yesterday in yesterday's video lesson. Okay, I'm going to stop that. Tomorrow's lesson will be lesson number 4, where we memorize the elements, okay? So don't worry about that for now. Just focus on this, okay? Take care. Have a great, great day. Stay safe and see you tomorrow.